Hello and welcome to another episode of Miracle Tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about compound interest. So, what's new am I going to give you today? It's like compound interest, it's shown everywhere. So many channels are showing compound interest to you. So, what new? Absolutely. I'll tell you something new about that. No formula. You don't need formula to do compound interest. But still it is in the framework of the formula. That's the beauty of it. What you need to understand is certain basic concepts regarding it. If you understand those basic concepts, definitely you're going to put compound interest in the way you like to. Okay, let's start with it. So first I'm going to make kind of a thing like this thing. Okay, it's a square. Okay, what if I take 120% of it? Of course it will be bigger than this, right? 100% of this and 20% of this. Let's take 120% of it, so it will be as big as this one, right? Looks a bit bigger, not to be scaled, but and a 20% more of it. Okay, what if I take this thing, 120% of this thing? Fine, let's do it. It will be as big as the previous one. Okay, but 120% of it will be a bit bigger, maybe, you know, again I'm saying not to be scaled. So 120% of it. What if I take 120% of this thing again? Fine, let's make it so this is my thing as big as this one, the previous one, and taking 120% of it. Okay, so we started from 100%, moved on and on and on. So this is my 100%, turned into 120%. Now this became 100%, turned into 120%. Now this whole became 100% and turned into 120%. The same thing I'm going to apply in doing the questions of compound interest. How? Let's see. Suppose I ask you a question like you deposit a money in a bank, say 1,000 rupees. Okay. How much will it be after 3 years? 3 years, then I have to put some kind of a thing that shows something. My amount will be something like this. Amount equals principal times 1 plus my rate percent over here and the time needed over here to convert this thing into the desired amount. And one more thing, many of the people might be thinking that I do not put 1,000 over 100 over here because since percent already has 100 in it, so we don't put another 100 over here. If you're doing that, you're not doing it correctly. Okay, you're oversimplifying things. You should not do that. Now, amount equals principal plus times 1 plus r, percent, whatever the percent is, and part of time. Okay, now let's put the same thing over here. I want to know what will that be after 2 years. So let me put my time to be 2 years and the percent rate. So this is my time, 2 years, and the percent should be make it 10%, right? Per annum. Okay, so my rate is 10% per annum. Okay, let's turn it. So same thing, I've got 1,000 over here. After a year it becomes how much? 110% of the whole thing. This is 100%, 110% of the whole thing. What I'm going to do is to take 110% of my what? Of my 1,000. So after a year, this is my amount. If you calculate it, you'll get the answer. Right, but we're not going to calculate it right now. Let's go ahead for the second year. Now this becomes my whole again. You see, this is my whole, the whole. Okay, what if for the next year? Next year, so this is my whole. Let that be the whole. I have to take 10%, 110% of the whole thing. Okay, 110 per and cent of the whole thing, and I get the amount after 2 years, and this is my amount. Okay, right? So simple. Once again, 1000, right? I have taken 110% of 1000. You can see over here. Train your eyes to look at the numbers in a holistic way and not into the nitty-gritties. That's damn dangerous. Okay, so 1000, taking 110% of 1000. I got some answer over here, maybe some answer. After that, what I did, I again took 110% of this whole thing. Let me label this thing, this whole thing. Okay, I've taken 110% of the whole thing and I got an answer, and that is what it is. I can show it to you. It will line up into the same thing. Okay, so let's write 110% times 110% times 1000. Okay, so this becomes my 110%. Okay, and since it's squared, you can see two of them of the same type is squared, times 1000. Okay, I can break that into, inside it, I can break that into 100 by 100 plus 10% times 2 into 1000. Now this 100 by 100, you can see over here 100%, 100. So this is my 100 per, and this is my cent, plus 10%, so 100% plus 10%, 110%. And now this becomes 1. This becomes my rate. Okay, so rate was 10%, so just write rate percent over here times the 2, because it was 2 years. So let's make that as the time, t or n, whatever you feel like putting over here, t, and this becomes my principal, and this is my amount. Okay, so you don't have to memorize the formula at all to do the questions, right? And you'll get the answer. Try to check out these things while making the questions of your choice and put in the same concept, and you'll find it so easy. So thanks for watching the video.